computer. Hello, my loves. Gives me such a great joy in my heart to be able to have the conversation today with Sarah Armide. Sarah is becoming a really great friend and colleague of some sorts, where we're weaving a lot of our wisdom together in a project that's taking birth here on Mama Bali. We'll share more about that in a moment. But Sarah's known and very successful for sharing work with women around their hormones. I would really consider Sarah a hormone specialist. She's across the science and the beautiful pieces that she's also working with the spiritual side of what moves through a woman's body at each time of the month. And I was just sharing with Sarah earlier that I am becoming a little overwhelmed with how many women are reaching out and sharing with me that there's something going on with their menstrual cycle right now, and they can't quite put their finger on it. And, we're going to talk about these things. And it is edgy. It's a conversation that I also feel really passionate about, needs to be had in this very gentle way. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Having me. This is such an important conversation, and it's such an honor to be gathering with women and really just holding each other during these chaotic times.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan, before we dig in, I'd love to hear about your connection and relationship to your own menstrual cycle. Can you remember that first time that you bled as a young girl?
Oh, I froze for a moment. Yeah, it's I feel like it's such a trajectory, right? Because what happens at that time is such a portal, and I feel like it kind of fractals out into so many moments in our life, just as you were sharing with me. And it really did for me. I bled quite early. The first period I ever had, I think I was 10 or 11, still in junior school. And there was so much shame. Oh, beautiful baby. And it was actually such a dark color, when we bleed, it's quite a dark color. It's low progesterone, it's stagnation in the womb, perhaps, really stagnating foods that we're eating, and the bowels and the digestive system are connected to the liver, which connects to the womb. So it was a very dark brown color. And so I actually felt like I had pooed my pants. And there was all this shame of like, I don't understand. But there was simultaneously this dull ache roaring in the base of my womb that I had never felt before. And then this is a period. So yeah, my periods from that moment. And I told my mum, like, don't tell my sisters. Like, there was just so much shame. So, that really did carry on, like that pain and that shame, which eventually led to, diseases, PCOS, endometriosis, and cervical cancer, and a lot of pain and whatnot. So I do feel that initial bleed was really just kind of like a snippet of letting me know, in a sense, what I was going to be in store for, unless I started committing myself to a mind, body, soul journey, which I wasn't like equipped to quite follow yet. I wasn't quite ready. I didn't have the steps, the tools.
Thank you, love. That piece that you shared around shame, I deeply felt that. And you mentioned that you have worked through endometriosis and PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome. I'm wondering if you made a connection between that original, or that first moment of shame that you felt with these experiences, we'll call them, that came through your womb for you?
That's such a good question. The answer is no, because when I was diagnosed, I was still operating under so many dense layers of conditioning that when I think back to that time, I was still so numb in the body and still so disassociated and so disconnected from my body that it felt like all of these diagnoses came, and I did feel like a victim. I just felt like, oh, I've just been given, you know, a difficult hand. I'm not worthy. It was like a lot of unworthiness. I'm just not worthy of having thick, luscious, healthy hair and clear skin and a pain-free cycle. I looked at other women and said, well, that's just not my hand in this life, you know? So there wasn't really a connection of the intelligence until I started going through a series of awakenings, just due to the mental and emotional pain of the physical breakdown of acne and the weight gain and the hair growing on my face. And when I started to go through those awakenings, then it's almost like the blueprint was piecing it, the cosmic blueprint of like, and my mom and my grandmother and this, and like everything came together eventually in the end.
Beautiful, honey. And was there like a moment in time that was like an aha moment where a light bulb or a candle was lit in that place deep within you where you've moved into a knowingness around how to work with your own body's wisdoms?
Yeah, it feels like it was a blend. For me, initially, I started seeing a lot of doctors and quickly realized that this is a money-making model and like they just want me on pharmaceuticals. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to die if I stay in this world. And so then I shifted and actually found Elisa Vitti. She's a hormone specialist and she teaches she pretty much coined the cycle syncing thing that some of our girlfriends share a lot about and whatnot. So I started her program and then it all started to make sense. I would say the deepest awakening into my own knowing was happening in my tiny little bedroom in Manhattan, feeling so alone and so depressed and going through spiritual awakenings and doing so much meditation and journaling that suddenly it was like all of the pieces from within were starting to come up. And then eventually I have to say I did leave New York and I moved to India and I sat by the Ganga River every single day for 6 months. And she gave me the transmissions. Oh my goodness, she taught me so much. And my body started to fully download the information that I now share through my healing programs.
Thank you. Thank you for doing the work that you do and sharing these healing programs. Like what you have to offer it's life-changing. And you mentioned a little piece there that landed for you around the pharmaceutical industry as being a money-making, machine, and it truly is. And this leads me to, a deeper topic around the connection between what's going on right now, whether it be women are feeling an unease in the collective through their womb space, or whether they have gone down the road of having a vaccination or a biological, NRMA life-changing big pharmaceutical product in their system, or whether they've just been around it, and how this is affecting, the intelligence of the body, and it's coming through women's blood. I've been asked, since we reached out to book this call, another 3 times in like 2 days of what's going on. Myself, I'm bleeding for the second time within a month. However, I also know that I'm in a different phase of my life and things change and shift then too. But I just noticed the intensity of my mood. So yeah, I'd love to speak to that and, for you to share your wisdom on these things.
Oh, I would be honored to. And as I said before we jumped on the call, speaking from a space of non-fear is important, because the energy of what we are, our soul, will always supersede the physical dimension. So we can put these chemical cocktails into our body. We can eat McDonald's every single day. It is the spark and the flame of our soul that is holding the power. So as soon as we start to generate all those emotions of fight or flight, fear, separation, need to run from everyone who's had a vaccine, then we are generating more poisonous substances within our system than what is actually in that. So we have to point to that, like So this is not about fear, but we are being affected. There's two groups of women, vaccinated and unvaccinated. Both groups are being affected. I can't say in equal ways, but I've had thousands of people reaching out to me, you know? And I did have several people reaching out to me initially, and then I started to receive all of the articles around shedding, spike proteins, all of this. Can you please comment on this? And initially, my body just said, I don't want to engage in anything that's going to create separation. And so I pushed it away. I started to go through a series of things that month where I would like drop, I've been doing for several years now, where I drop my consciousness into my womb and I communicate with her. And I did that one day in a meditation, and I was like, and it was so murky and foggy. And I could literally just hear her saying, I'm not all right now. And then that month, my period was late, and my period has not been late in years. It's by the day, you know, when you've gone through as much healing as I have, I track my cycle like nothing else. And the luteal phase arrived, and I was feeling incredibly suicidal and confused and foggy. And the period came, and it was heavy. And then I started to realize, okay, there's something going on. And so for the next 3 cycles, my period was late. It was like first 3 days late, then it was 6 days late, then it was 10 days late. And I could feel I wasn't having a proper ovulation. And so what I could see is that my body was going into some kind of healing, and the fertility is always prioritized last. Because as you know, it's like if there's a bear chase, have a baby. So the reproductive organs will always be prioritized last when they're body or detox or whatever it is. So I became very, very certain, not through articles, not through secondhand information, not through conspiracy or paranoia. It became very clear to me something's going on. Thousands, millions of women across the globe are complaining to this right now. And it's something that we have to face. And I just want to say, as like a little disclaimer to, again, alleviate that fear, my cycle, after putting myself on a protocol and kind of downloading some pieces which I can share, I put myself on a protocol for a while. And the last cycle I had was perfectly on time, pain-free. I dropped my consciousness into my womb. She was like, I got it, honey. It's like the first time I had COVID, I was a mess. Then I got it again and I was totally fine. I was like, oh, I've got the sniffles. I lost a bit of smell. No, I'm good. So our bodies are immaculate. They're impeccable at computing things and working out algorithms and putting up deeper, they're called antibodies. They're strengthening walls for the immune system to adapt to certain things.
Thank you. So the protocol that you followed, was that something that it fascinates me. And I love that when women listen, they hear through the voice in their womb what needs to be done. And was that something that you heard internally?
Yeah, it was all womb. It was womb. She told me everything that I needed to know. And I did this meditation with her, so as I was saying to you before I got on the call, I've created a video, a 2-hour-long workshop where I just go through the whole protocol. I would really talk into the spleen and the digestive system. Then I talk about logosynthesis, which is commanding energies to leave our system and putting up, protective barriers. And then at the end, we do a meditation, which I did on my womb for 30 days in a row, which was just pouring a honey nectar, illuminating in the ovaries, lighting everything up, pouring through the uterus, the vaginal canal. And as we visualize that, we feel it, we start to cleanse and bathe. And that's what she told me to do. And it worked. And she feels to be, we're still moving through something huge collectively, but we all have the power to be protecting our wombs right now.
Yeah. And that's the piece. We are moving through into a different time and space. We've, collectively, we've had this shift of timeline, and never before have so many women, womb carriers, shifted in a timeline. And without getting too woo-woo, but we're different now. So it is like that tuning in, that upgrading and the rewriting and the reconnecting to what it is our body needs. So yeah, thank you for speaking to that. I appreciate it. Is there anything else? There's so many things, but I feel that if, you know, we can share that you have this opportunity for another week or so to catch your video where you go deeper into that is yeah, a really incredible gift. Thank you for sharing that, Sarah. And it's not expensive, and honestly, like I know you so well that if anybody feels to reach out to you, you'll point them in the direction of that too.
Of course. Yeah, no, it's just a 2 hour, it's just this conversation just more fleshed out over a 2 hour period, and then a food protocol email to you as well, and the meditation. So if anyone desires that, yeah, it's going to be up for another week. And I do feel like this call for you and I to be sharing on these things in a bigger way together, and, you know, maybe I'll bring you on mine and we'll flesh it out and talk about it a little bit more, because I know a lot of women are feeling terribly afraid right now. It is tumultuous times. We can't avoid it, but we can remember that there is an intelligence behind it, and that if it's here and the vaccines are here and all of this damage is here, it's allowed to be here. It's allowed to be here for us to play with and experiment for a little while. And collective consciousness, it's waking up, you know, it's like we are waking up, people are popping, and it's going to bring us so much closer together, moving through all of these initiations together, you know?
Yeah, it's such a, the big piece is trust for me, that word that just keeps dropping in. It's like trust, expanded levels of trust. And, you know, there is a connection between our womb and trust, what we let in, what we hold on to. And, you know, for women, this is a beautiful opportunity if we can rewrite our fear program into one of trust, and know that we are going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, love. We are working with a group of women. We're calling ourselves the Wisdom Women Collective. And Sarah's, if anyone's in Bali, offering a workshop at Yoga Barn on the 9th of September. I can't believe I'm just saying the 9th of September. This year is gone like.
Mm-hmm.
And this piece that you're sharing on the 9th of September is going to be something that I feel that this kind of work will be woven into, but your focus is on kinesiology. And I'd love for you to maybe introduce that workshop or just drop in and share what you'll be offering on the day. And the exciting thing is, if you're not in Bali, we will be sharing more of this kind of thing online with the Wisdom Women's Collective very soon. So yeah, super excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just for a quick little brief intro, if anyone's unfamiliar with kinesiology, also known as muscle testing, and it is what it sounds like. It's a biofeedback tool that we utilize that comes through the muscular system within the body, because the muscles are, you know, they're a denser form of tissue than cells, and we can receive direct reading through the muscular system, because we all know it. It's like when you're around someone who you want to spend more time around, who you're lit up, what do we feel? We feel expansion. We feel like an. And so when we're around something or someone, or something feels like a no, it'll contract. It'll go small. It'll be like a heart close. And so we can actually read the muscular system for our truth, for our true yeses and our true nos. And when we start to develop our connection with our muscle testing, which is really just certain tools, you know, certain tools with the hands and with the whole body, where we can actually start receiving deeper readings around supplements to take, food to have, whether to say yes to this, no to this, you know, like it's endless. It really is endless. And ultimately, the objective is to embody our intuition. and to utilize a direct biofeedback tool that we use again and again and again until we reach a point where we don't need it anymore, because the body's intuition has become so strong. We feel all the yeses and nos so deeply. It almost feels like the kinesiology becomes redundant, you know? So it's a tool to develop our consciousness.
So exciting. And since we did that session together, I have been testing everything, and and I've been, more chocolate. Yeah. Oh yes. That's a yes. That's, like, and using both ways. And I'd often, or many times used my body as a pendulum. And we spoke about that. I'm a sacral being in my human design. So my sacral will very much give me that full body yes. And now I have the kinesiology where I'm using them together to really develop the word trust in my intuition. So yeah, it's beautiful. So anyone that's in Bali, please reach out, come along. We'd love to have you, and we're just getting started with these things.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you, my love. I'm going to stop the recording. Yeah.